What's up everybody, my name's Rob Simmons, welcome to my channel. As a request, I'll be back to do another travel video titled Why Indonesia is Always Erupting, assuming it's referring to the volcanoes over there. And I always do this, my requested reaction videos. I do take reaction requests, but as a rule, you have to be subscribed to my channel. So if there's any other nature of travel videos you want me to react to, let me know in the comments below. All that being said, this is a bit of a long video, so I'll get right to it.
These are all of the volcanoes in the world. You've got this big strip here in Ethiopia, a big cluster up in Iceland, and a long strip down the west coast of the Americas. But there's one spot that has more volcanoes than anywhere else on Earth, right here in Indonesia. And it's not even all of Indonesia, this country of 17,000 islands. It's really this belt right here. This is called the Sunda Arc, and it's where the majority of volcanic activity in Indonesia is happening. It's where the violence, the intensity, the beauty of all of these blasts is taking place. I want to show you some of the most striking volcanoes on Earth. And I'm doing this because I want to try to better understand why they are so deadly and why millions of people live right in the shadow of these sleeping dragons.
Good question. They look like they'd be great tourist attractions. So beautiful yet so scary at the same time.
Okay, let's quickly go over why volcanoes exist. Maybe you've heard this before, but I'm going to try to explain it in a way that makes sense. It's important to remember that the ground under your feet is actually a giant plate, 100 kilometers thick. One of many plates floating around on molten lava. They're all moving in certain directions and at different speeds. There are 7 main plates on Earth, and a bunch of smaller ones, and they're always moving. When these plates move into each other, they make mountains. When they spread apart, they make underwater volcanoes that cool and turn into rocks, and we call them islands. When they slide against each other, they make terrible earthquakes. And when they run into each other and one gets forced below the other, they make volcanoes.
A whole series
the heat from the friction
begins to pop up along the edge of the continent parallel to the trench.
So the real reason why this one strip of land in Indonesia has so many volcanoes is because this plate is slamming into this plate at a rate of 7 centimeters a year, which is one of the fastest movements of plates in the world. So you're getting a ton of this, which results in a ton of this.
Over the course of millions of years, volcanoes are formed.
This dark green around the volcano where no one lives. But all of this, each one of these little dots are villages where tons of people live, and they're right in the strike zone of this volcano. Volcanoes kill people when they suddenly erupt, but it's not the lava that kills them, it's the ash.
It's deadly.
This huge column of ash and gases first goes up, and then it eventually falls down. As it falls, it gains momentum on these steep mountainsides, and eventually that will slam into villages, up to 3 kilometers in radius from the volcano. If you were standing in the way of one of these massive ash avalanches, you will die. And then if it rains, it gets really bad, because the ash and the rain make these horrifying mud rivers that cut through the mountains and flood villages all around the region. Every volcano has its own personality, and I want to show you some of the most striking volcanoes along this strip, and in the process explain how and why humans live so close to these sleeping dragons.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, sleeping dragons.
First, let's talk about Kawah Ijen. This volcano blew up really bad 3,000 years ago and left a 1 kilometer wide crater that is now full of this bright blue, very acidic water. It's the most acidic lake on Earth because under the surface, there's a huge deposit of sulfuric gas that is venting out of this crack in the earth. All of this sulfuric gas means that when this thing erupts with lava, it burns that gas and ignites it in this mesmerizing blue flame. All of this gas also means that there is some money to be made. The locals have installed these ceramic pipes to catch the gases and force it to condense into a liquid. It flows down here to where it cools and turns into a solid, which can be harvested by locals. My friend Christian is there right now, covering the realities of this job. I'm gonna let him show you what this work is actually like.
Now that's interesting.
Hey Johnny, so right now we are inside of Kawah Ijen, a active volcano, and this crater is full of life. You can see all the steam rising off of the water, this insane plume of yellow smoke, and this yellow smoke is what creates the sulfur. And with me here are the badass hardworking dudes, no other way to put it, they're literal superheroes. This here is Supano.
Wow.
What's up, Supano? I've had this amazing opportunity to just pick his brain, try to understand a little bit better why is it that these guys have taking on some of the most challenging work conditions on planet Earth. What is the heaviest weight that you'll take up the hill?
75 kilogram.
75 kilograms.
150
I just tried
pounds?
40. Could barely manage it. I mean, you look at these guys, they're not bodybuilders, but they're strong-minded, they're incredibly driven, and they've got a good purpose for it.
How much money for 1 kilo? Only
Do you notice the guys wearing a gas mask?
50.
So how
Because
much do you make
I don't
at the
think
end
that
of the
smells
day?
good.
Okay.
300,000.
If you were to convert that to US dollars, that's about $22, $21 for the entire day's worth of work.
Wow.
These workers make it into town where they sell this sulfur to factories, which mainly use it to bleach sugar so that it's white. It's backbreaking, dangerous work. Christian made a whole video from this mine and the realities of this work. I will link to that in the description. Next up, we have Mount Merapi, or Fire Mountain. This volcano has killed more humans than any other. It erupts all of the time, like every few years. Here it is erupting just last year. This thing is happening over the course of 5 minutes. This time-lapse was recorded by Volcano UT and Frecom, 2 different YouTube channels that I'll link to in the description. The reason why this volcano is so deadly is because, like I said before, there are millions of people living around it. And not just remotely around it, like right up against the mountain. Here's the volcano.
What?
And these are all the villages right up against it. Which raises an important question I had going into this story.
Why?
Which is, why do so many people live here? Like, so many people. The answer is that this is an amazing place to live.
Oh, that's
Indonesia has
beautiful.
Wild, warm weather. It rains super hard for a few months, and that rain is effectively stored in these mountains. And it provides water to these people throughout the year. And then there's the fact that this is perfect fertilizer, all mashed up and broken down, ready to make this soil incredibly fertile. This is some of the most fertile land on Earth. You get 3 rice harvests from this soil every year because the soil is like magic. So yeah, the people living here are sort of in a high-risk, high-reward situation. They live on a sleeping dragon that could wipe them out at any moment. And yet, as long as it doesn't, they have some of the best weather and growing conditions on Earth.
You know, that volcano
Next
might
up
make
is
for a good
Krakatoa.
tourist attraction.
What you're looking at here is actually like a graveyard of what used to be a big island. It used to look a lot more like this, but 100 years ago, it blew up. We think this is the most explosive volcano in modern history. 10% of the world could hear the blast, it was so intense. Tens of thousands were killed in the ash. And the ash exploded so high into the air that all the way in Europe, the sky was red and hazy, which has led some to speculate that it was this event that inspired the red, hazy look of this painting, one of the most famous paintings in the world, called The Scream.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't resist.
The volcano that grew out of Krakatoa has kept erupting over the years, breaking this island down further and further until the whole thing just eventually collapsed and caused a huge tsunami that killed hundreds just a couple of years ago. The island went from looking like this to this. And today, it's one of the fastest growing volcanoes in the world and will certainly be back for more destruction. Okay, the last one I want to talk about is this set of volcanoes. This one is Mount Bromo, and this one is Mount Sumeru. First off, these 2 volcanoes are some of the most stunning volcanoes I've ever seen in my life.
That's beautiful.
But they also represent the deep religious symbolism that volcanoes have come to symbolize over time. This mountain, Mount Sumeru, is named after the mythical Mount Meru, which is a sacred 5-peaked mountain in the cosmology of 3 religions, Hindu, Jain, and Buddhism. It is considered to be the center of the physical and metaphysical and spiritual universes. The neighboring volcano is also deeply symbolic. volcanic. It's called Bromo, which in Javanese is the name for Brahma, or the Hindu god of creation. Every year, Hindus hike up this mountain and make an offering of vegetables and plants and animals to the gods embodied in this volcano. There are so many more volcanoes in Indonesia, and my goal is to go to Indonesia with my camera and actually photograph them for myself. A lot of the footage from this video came from Christian, who gave me a lot of his footage. He lives in Indonesia, and from other places. I didn't go there, but I really want to. I'm now deeply fascinated with volcanoes because I've been deeply diving into plate tectonics. So I hope you understand more about why volcanoes exist, why Sumeru exists in Indonesia, and how the people cope living next to these ticking time bombs. What's so intriguing to me is that the volcano is a giver. It gives abundance and fertility most of the time. But sometimes
I never thought of it that way.
To take away. Okay, that's it.
Wow. Wow. I think this is the type of video where you can watch 3 times, and each time you learn something new. I mean, there was a ton of info in that video. I'm still processing it. I mean, there are things about volcanoes mentioned in this video where I never would have imagined, like volcanoes being givers and not total destroyers. And how a volcano can really help a village thrive with heavy rain, providing fertilizer via the smoke. And there's a whole business with collecting sulfur. I'm sorry, but those guys need to be millionaires because that is very hard and very dangerous work. I mean, it was just really fascinating. And I agree with the guy. I do want to go to Indonesia myself because to see those volcanoes in person would be quite something, because they're just, at the same time, so scary yet so beautiful. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments what you think of this video. Thank you for watching.